Hey lovely people, it's your girl Onana and this is Onana Nation. So if it is your first time on this channel, a very special welcome to you. Please go ahead and subscribe because you are definitely going to love it here. Alright, so today we are going to be doing a review of Coming to America 2. And in as much as I would like to call this a review, it's actually a summary of the movie. I'm doing a summary of this movie today because so many people have been asking me, what is the movie about? We saw the trailer, we are crazy about this movie, we want to watch it. Unfortunately, we don't have access to Amazon Prime, or we don't have access to Netflix, or we just don't know where the movie is being played right now. So many people have been asking about this movie, and today I'm here to do a little summary for those who are interested. Alright, so we are just going to dive into it right away. So the movie begins and the first scene is the beautiful kingdom of Zamunda, and you know, a typical morning setting in a royal home. The maids are going up and down the palace. You know, when the movie begins in this beautiful palace setting, the kingdom of Zamunda. So the maids are going up and down, tending to their duties in the palace. We have a choir here singing, you know, beautiful songs in the morning. They were actually singing this song which I love, Way Zimbabwe, 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 Zimbabwe. So they're just singing, you know, typical African setting or typical Zamundan setting in the morning. The maids are going up and down, the palace people are singing, the choir is singing, and then the beautiful royal family, they're all asleep and everything is going on like a normal morning setting. That's the first scene of the movie. So the kingdom of Zamunda has 3 princesses, and you know, royalty relies on continuity, and according to them, they're always looking for sons, they're always looking for boys, you know, to take over from the king in case he dies. So in the kingdom of Zamunda, we have the king of Zamunda, and we have his son, that's Edimofi. Edimofi now is the prince of Zamunda, and the prince is married to Princess Lisa, and they have 3 daughters together. Princess Oma, Princess Tinashe, and Princess Mika. Mika being the eldest daughter, and she is going to take over from her father since her father has no sons, or at least none in the picture yet. So these 3 princesses wake up in the morning and they go into their daddy's room. They're like, good morning daddy, good morning mommy, happy anniversary to you. It was their anniversary. So their father is Edimofi, and they go into his room in the morning, a typical morning setting in a royal home. Good morning daddy, good morning mommy, and happy anniversary to you. So after the 3 princesses wake up, their dad, he wakes up, and now it's time for their morning routine, their morning workout. They go out to a certain part of the palace and they are having their workout. They have like sticks and they're fighting and training each other, and the father realizes like, oh my god, although I have only 3 daughters and no son, I am really blessed. My daughters are strong and they are ready to take over this kingdom from me. So Edimofi was just watching his daughters like, oh my god, I am raising warrior princesses. They are really brave. So they were fighting in the morning, fighting, and their father was just like, wow, I did a good job raising these girls. So they fought with daddy until they even put him on the floor. They fought with their dad until they pushed him on the floor, and he was realizing like, oh my god, my children are strong. So that's the second scene of the movie, when daddy realizes like, oh my gosh, my princesses, I mean, they are it. They're ready for the war. They're ready to take over Zamunda. Even if I die today, I have nothing to worry about. So this is a beautiful royal family, a king and his 3 daughters, and they are living their life, living large. And after this, the next scene is the scene where we get to see the king of Zamunda himself. That's Edimofi's father. So the king of Zamunda is an old man. He's getting old, he's getting frail, he's getting sick, and he's in his sick bed, you know. And then we have the seer of the kingdom. Every kingdom has their seer, their traditional doctor, somebody who looks into the future and tells them things, somebody who has visions about the kingdom and, you know, whether they're safe or not. So the seer of the kingdom comes to the king of Zamunda in his sick bed in the king's chambers, and he's talking to the king. He's like, oh, king of Zamunda, your son Prince Hakim does not only have 3 daughters, he actually has a son. I had a vision, you know, in one of these my royal visions, I see things about the kingdom. I saw something about the Prince Hakim. He actually has a son. Aside his 3 daughters, there's a boy in the picture. So this was good news to the king of Zamunda, who is sick and almost dying, to find out that his son has a son, which means there's a heir to the throne. So if the king dies, Prince Hakim will take over. And if Prince Hakim dies tomorrow, there's somebody down the line of succession. That's the way royalty works. Like, they worship boys, they worship male children in these royal settings, like, because to them it means continuity, to them it means a scepter of strength and power. When the king is no more, somebody else will take over. But Prince Hakim only had 3 daughters. He didn't know he had a son. So this is the seer coming to the king of Zamunda now, telling him, "Oh king, you have nothing to worry about. There's a male son." Hear me say male son. There's a son in the picture, a male child in the picture, a son of the prince. So they called the prince to come into his father's chambers, and his father was talking to him like, Hakim, what have you done now? You have a son, oh, you have a son, and they called it a bastard son according to the movie. You have a son, an illegitimate son, that's how they should call it, but they kept calling it bastard son all the time. So you actually have a son. I'm looking into your past life. The seer right here has told me that you have a son back in Queens, New York, where you were 30 years ago. And the prince was like, "No, daddy, I don't have a son. The only woman I've been with is Queen Lisa." And the dad was like, "So you mean to tell me the CIA is lying?" And he was like, "I don't know about what the CIA is saying, but I don't have a son." So the CIA started to prove it to him, like, you remember 30 years ago when you went back to when you were in New York, you found this lady, and when you were looking for love, when you found Queen Lisa, you actually was with some other girl and you made her pregnant. So this lady actually went ahead to have the son. So you have a son in Queens. So this is Prince Hakim now, the father of 3 daughters, just finding out he has a son, and he's excited to meet his son as a prince and a future king. Everybody needs to have a heir to the throne. So he's excited to find out that he has a son. So now he's planning his trip to go back to Queens to locate this son, to scout the heir to find his son, which is the heir apparent to the throne of Zamunda. So he calls in his trusted servant, his right-hand man, which is Arsenio Hall. And in this movie, he has a name. I wrote it down somewhere. Semi, that's his name. So he calls in Semi, like, "Semi, I have a son. Can you believe this? We have to go back to Queens to look for my son. So there is actually an heir to the throne. All my life I've been raising my 3 daughters to be royalty. Well, they are royalty. I've been raising my 3 daughters to rule in case I pass, in case I die. I'm so happy to find out I have a son. I have to go trace this young man. I have to go track him down." So his right-hand man, who is Semi's like, "Sure, my king, we can do that. Let's go to New York." Dun, 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 dun. They get the royal jet ready, boom, and they're running to New York to track down this young man, whose name in the movie is Lavelle Johnson, and his mother is Leslie Jones. We love Leslie, she's funny and all that. So they took the royal jet, boom, 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 boom. They're in Queens, New York. So Lavelle Johnson is the illegitimate son of the Prince Hakim. So the movie also shows us a little bit of Lavelle Johnson's life. Lavelle Johnson grew up with his mom, a single mom at the time, Leslie Jones. He grew up with a couple of uncles, Tracy. He grew up with a couple of aunties. You know how we do. We grew up with our aunties and uncles in the house. They take care of us, support mommies, so mommies can raise their children. So that's the home in which he grew, Lavelle Johnson. He had no idea he was royalty. He had no idea he was the son to a prince, the Prince of Zamunda. So all his life, he's only known his mom. His mom was a single mom, and he has been struggling to, he went to school, he could not complete college because no money to pay for his education, and no, he was hustling too, looking for jobs, applying here and there, and the interviews were sometimes crazy. So Prince Hakim is in Queens, he's looking for his son, and his son on the other hand is struggling, going to interviews here and there, trying to get money, trying to get a job. He grew up along with his mom, struggling. You know how things are. You have to hustle to make ends meet, you have to hustle to put food on the table, you have to hustle to come up with money for bills and all that stuff. And Prince Hakim is looking for his son, actively going through the streets of New York, and he goes into the barber shop to ask, like, "I'm looking for my son, do you guys know him?" And then he showed the picture that the royal seer, the traditional doctor, had given him. So he showed the picture in the barber shop, and they were like, "Yeah, we know this young man. As a matter of fact, we know where he is. Go in front of Madison Square Garden, I think. You're going to see him there selling tickets." So Prince Hakim enters the limo with his right-hand man, Semi. They go all the way to the Madison Square Garden, and they're looking for him. "No, baby, don't come here. You're going to mess up mommy's camera. Please, go play with your toys." So they followed him all the way to Madison Square Garden, and they found the young man there. And the Prince Hakim, seeing his son for the first time after 30 years, was like, "Excuse me, young man, So Lavelle Johnson turned and looked at him like, who is this guy? So he started telling him, I am your dad. I am from Zamunda. I am the Prince of Zamunda, and you are my son. He just went straight to the point. You know, if you're a father who has abandoned your child all these years, when you see the child, you'll be beaten about the bush. You'll be like, oh my God. Sometimes you'll be scared to even approach them. He just went straight to the point. You are my son. And the guy was like, are you for real? Like, how come I'm really finding out about you now? I've never known you. Like, are you for real? The guys do not know whether to take him seriously or not. So Lavelle Johnson took Prince Hakeem back home to show him to his mom. So he was like, Mom, who is this guy? Why do I have this African guy with me claiming to be my dad? Who is this guy? Because he has never seen Prince Hakeem before. So the mom was like, oh my God, Prince Hakeem is your dad. So she confirmed the fact that, yeah, he is your dad. And then Prince Hakeem is like, okay, I came here on a short visit. I am from the Kingdom of Zamunda. I need you to go back home with me because you are my son. You have to go back with me to take your rightful place as the heir apparent, as the heir to the throne of Zamunda. So the guy was like, I don't know you and I'm not going to any Zamunda with you. So Prince Hakeem spent the next few minutes trying to convince the guy like, you're going to love it in Zamunda. It's a beautiful place and you are actually the prince. Like, you're going to have people taking care of you and all that stuff. So he tried to convince Lavelle Johnson to go back with him to Zamunda, and Lavelle Johnson was not buying it. So he took a gold bar, a big gold bar like this, and gave Lavelle Johnson. Lavelle was like, what? You have gold in Zamunda? So it's the gold that actually did it for him. He saw the gold. He was like, what? Zamunda may be rich, or maybe I'm missing on all this money. All right. So Prince Hakeem finally convinced his son Lavelle Johnson and his mom Leslie Jones to follow him back to Zamunda. So they hop on aboard the royal jet and they go back to Zamunda. Now a whole new ball game. Going back to Zamunda where he has a wife. You have a wife and you have gone and brought your illegitimate child and your baby mama. So how do you introduce them to your wife now? Your wife of 30 years who doesn't know you have a child. So as he went back to the palace, there was a little bit of drama as expected. If you're a woman, you're married to a man for 30 years and all of a sudden he brings a baby like, this is my baby, you're going to feel bad too. So Queen Liza was mad and she was asking her husband like, come on babe, how come you never told me about an illegitimate child all these years, for 30 good years? When do you think was going to be the right time for you to tell me? So Queen Liza was really mad and she was attacking the king, shouting at Hakeem like, come on Hakeem, you can't do me like this. How come you had the baby out of wedlock, you didn't tell me? So she was attacking him, she was mad and all that stuff. Any woman would be mad. So King Hakeem now turned to her and was like, oh Queen Liza, I'm so sorry. I hope you find it in your heart to forgive me. When I had this child, I was not with you yet, so technically I wasn't cheating on you. I actually impregnated the mom before I even met you, and I didn't know about this child's existence all these years. I only just found out from the palace here, so I am sorry. Find it in your heart to forgive me. So he was asking his wife to forgive him and all that stuff. And the wife was like, okay, I forgive you. So she forgave him, but it was still lingering on her mind. And after some time, she had to like kick him away from the royal chambers, like, get away from my room. I have forgiven you, but I've not forgotten you. Just give me some time to deal with this. Maybe you can sleep in the guest room for now, just out of the room. And the king was like, how can you kick me away? I, King Hakeem. So I'm calling Hakeem king because his father passed. The king of Zamunda died. So Hakeem takes over from his dad. So he becomes the new king of Zamunda. So he's no longer Prince Hakeem, he is King Hakeem. So the queen is mad at him like, you brought me an illegitimate child of 30 years, you never told me. So she pushes him away like, give me some time to forgive you, give me some time to forget all this big news you've just sprung on me, you know, unexpectedly. So now the palace now has new guards. Lavelle Johnson, who is the Prince of Zamunda, and his mom Leslie Jones. These are the new people now in the Kingdom of Zamunda, and these people are typical New Yorkers. Imagine New York people, you just take them all the way from New York, boom, to Zamunda, which is in Africa, and the culture shock. They have so many things they have to learn. They have to understand how the people in Zamunda behave. They have to understand the culture, the practices, and everything that goes on in Zamunda. And then it's even bad for Lavelle Johnson, who is the prince. Imagine being a prince of a kingdom in Africa that you've never been to. You don't know the first thing about African people. You don't even know their cultures, their tradition. You don't know nothing about them. And you have such a short period of time to like acclimatize yourself to the environment, to learn everything really, really fast. For you to become the prince, there's 3 tests you have to pass. So although you're the son of the king, King Hakim, there's 3 tests you have to pass. The first test, you have to learn about your ancestors. You have to take a whole course to learn about all the other kings that have been in the palace before. Your great-grandfather, your great-great-grandfather before him, your great-great-grandfather, and all those people. You have to learn about all those people. You have to learn royal history. You have to get you have to learn how to be humble. You have to learn to ditch your pride. And then most importantly, you have to bring them hair from a lion's mouth, the lion's whiskers. You have to pull some hair from there and bring to the kingdom. So these are the things that Lavelle Johnson had to do to fully be crowned as the Prince of Zamunda. Yeah, so adjusting to this new culture was a little difficult for the New Yorker, Lavelle Johnson, who has just been thrown into African culture in the kingdom of Zamunda. So it's difficult, the culture shock and all that. He needs some time to balance, to stand on his feet. And he has 3 sisters, the princesses, Princess Tinashi, Princess Oma, and Princess Mika. They didn't like him that much from the beginning because, you know, all their life they've been raising them as royalty. They've been raising them to be able to take over the kingdom if their daddy dies, and all of a sudden daddy's first son come out from nowhere. So the princesses didn't like it at all. He is their brother, but they did not really welcome him from day one. You know, a little attitude here and there. But as time went further, they began close to each other. They started liking each other. It was beautiful. Actually, his sister helped him ace some of his tests. So for him to take the throne as the crown prince of Zamunda, there were 3 tests he needed to pass. But luckily for him, he got along with his sisters and they helped him. They started teaching him royal culture, teaching him royal history, teaching him about their grandfathers and the forefathers and all the ancestors of the family, you know, the patriarchs of the family that came before him and his father. So his sisters were really teaching him royal history and all that. He is the royal history. Remember, these are the 3 tests he had to pass. So they're teaching him about humility and all that. He is the test on humility. The 3rd test he had to pass to be crowned the Prince of Zamunda was the one of pulling hairs from a lion's mouth. You can imagine how scared a little New Yorker boy is coming to Africa, coming to the kingdom of Zamunda, discovering lions and everything. So they were like, you see that lion over there? You have to go pull hair from the lion's mouth. He was like, no way. Hell no. Like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. And they were like, you want to be prince? You have to do that. You have to go find that lion and put some whiskers and, you know, come show us. That's the final test you have to pass. So the guy was like, I don't care about the kingdom of Zamunda. I don't care to be a prince. I'm not going to risk my life going close to a lion because I want to be a prince. So he was giving up, and his junior sister really spoke to him, gave him a really small pep talk like, are you just going to leave everything because, you know, life is difficult? So the royal groomer, the lady who gives them all their haircuts in the palace, she called Lavelle Johnson. She was like, so you want to be prince? Are you just going to back down at every little challenge you find? To be prince is not an easy job. You're going to have competition here and there. You're going to have evil people all around you trying to usurp power from you. So you have to man up. If you really like this, if you really like your dad, you have to man up and go. You have to be up for the challenge. Just pulling hair from a lion's mouth cannot be so difficult. You can actually do it if you want to. So they encouraged him. He was like, yeah, I think I can do it. So they really encouraged him so much, and he came out with a plan. He and his sister went out. They built a little cage where they trapped the lion, and they rubbed cat food all over the place. The lion came and was eating the food, and then he pulled the whiskers. Imagine, the guy who never thought he could pull the whiskers from a lion, he succeeded in pulling the whiskers because of a smart strategy and because of the help of his sister and Mirembe. Alright, so Lavelle Johnson passes his 3rd and final test to become prince, and now there's a big ceremony thrown for him to officially like crown him prince. It's like his coronation, to crown him the Prince of Zamunda. So it's a beautiful feast, beautiful food, beautiful people, beautiful music and all that. The festivity was great. I mean, this movie, the attires in this movie, the outfits in this movie, whoever did the wardrobe of this movie needs like a raise. Their outfits were all on point. It was all beautiful. They were also beautifully clothed, and I love it a lot. So at this stage of the movie, there's a beautiful party, you know, to crown Lavelle Johnson as the Prince of Zamunda. Also in this movie, we have an army general, General Easy. You know, every royal family has challenges from people out there. There's always a general somewhere who thinks he can take power from the king. So General Easy has been threatening the king's life for the longest time because he didn't know the king had a son. So General Easy finds out the king finally has a son, meaning there's somebody to take over from the king when the king dies. So General Easy is a smart man. He's thinking about money. He's thinking about how to guarantee his future and the future of his children. So General Easy brings his daughter into the palace, and he's like, like, oh, King Hakim, all these years I've been threatening to kill you. I've been threatening to take power away from you, but I finally find out you have a son. So I think there's a way for me to make you my ally, a way for me to make you my friend. So I'm introducing my daughter. I want my daughter to marry your son, so that way we can guarantee continuity of the kingdom and riches and prosperity for both our families. So this is General Easy here, coming to introduce his daughter into the royal palace and forcing his daughter upon the new prince, Lavelle Johnson. So this is the new prince, Lavelle Johnson. They are crowning him Prince of Zamunda. Already somebody is presenting a wife to him. So the General Easy is imposing his daughter, and the king doesn't have a choice because General Easy is a powerful general. He has a strong army. If you don't want to work with him, you can either work with him or against him. So if you work against him, he's a strong general. He can come take away power from you. So that's what was going on at the point in time where the general wanted to take power from the king, and the king finally was like, okay, I guess our children can get married together. My son can marry your daughter, you know, for the sake of peace and continuity, for the sake of business. So during the coronation ceremony of Lavelle Johnson, it's a beautiful feast. People are eating, people are dancing, people are drinking. It's a beautiful time. People are having so much fun at the palace. And General Easy comes to the king again, making mouth to the king. Look at you. What kind of king are you? Giving away your son to marry my daughter by force only because you're scared of me. Look at me, big General Easy. I have power. I have so many men under me. You're scared of me. That's why you're giving your son. You're actually using your son. What kind of father are you? Using your son as a pawn. Using your son as a game just because you're scared of me, General Easy. So you're using your son, marrying him off to my daughter because you're scared of me. You're just using your son. What kind of father are you? So as General Easy is talking to the king, making bad mouth to the king and all that stuff, Lavelle Johnson, the prince, he is just by his father, so he's listening to what the general is saying. So he begins to feel bad, like, oh my God, I actually am happy to find out about my father after 30 years. My father is a king and I'm coming to his kingdom. I'm happy. I thought I was going to be the prince of his kingdom. I thought the people loved me genuinely. Now I'm finding out my father is using me. My father is using me to make peace between this kingdom and these rebels. That's what my father sees me. I thought my father was in love with me. I thought my father loved me as his son. So he doesn't really love me. All this while he came to New York to look for me, just to use me to make peace between his kingdom and rebels. So he got mad. Immediately he took his mom, we are going back to New York. We're going back to Queens. Zamunda is not the place for us. My father doesn't love me. He has been using me all this while because he is scared of a certain General Easy. So the mom was like, okay, if Zamunda is not the place for you, we can go back to New York. So they took the royal jet, boom, boom, back to New York. They're already in New York. And the king now, like, during the evening, he's looking around. Where is my son? Where is Lavelle Johnson? Where is Lavelle? Where's the Prince of Zamunda? And they told him, oh, Lavelle has gone. We saw him leaving. Together with his mom, they have gone back to Queens. And the king is like, why would Lavelle leave and just go to Queens like that? He doesn't know Lavelle has listened to his conversation with General Easy. So Lavelle is feeling bad because he listened to the king's conversation with General Easy, but the king doesn't know yet. So Lavelle has gone to New York, and the king is like, oh my God, my son has gone back to New York. I have to go look for him. So Lavelle went back to New York, not only with his mom, he went with the royal hair groomer. Her name is Mirembe, the lady he had fallen in love with. Although General Easy was forcing him to marry somebody else, Tiana Taylor, he was actually in love with Mirembe, who was working at the palace. So he left the palace of Zamunda with this lady Mirembe. He went back to Queens, New York with her. He was going to marry her. So the king is looking for his son, and he finds out that his son is angry, and he has rushed back to New York. So the king also travels back to New York to go after the prince. Like, you are the prince of Zamunda, you cannot just abandon your people like this. So on arriving in New York, he finds out that the son is about to marry this lady Mirembe, and he tells them, like, come on, you are the prince of Zamunda. You cannot be having a little wedding. Even if you don't want to marry General Easy's daughter, I don't mind. I support you. Follow your heart. If Mirembe is the woman of your choice, I think we should go back to Queens, New York. I think we should go back to Zamunda, your kingdom, so we can organize a bigger wedding with so many people, you know, like a royal wedding should be. So the king somehow succeeded in convincing Lavelle Johnson, his son, together with Mirembe. Mirembe was like, yeah, I am a daughter of Zamunda. I have worked in the palace all my life. I would love for my wedding to be at Zamunda. So the king, together with Mirembe, they convinced Lavelle Johnson to go back to Zamunda. And this is towards the end of the movie. they all go back to Zamunda for this lavish wedding. The wedding was really luxurious, a beautiful wedding, a grand old time. The wedding was so lit, beautiful music. Davido performed at this wedding. They played a beautiful song from a Cameroonian artist, Loco. So we have 237 represented in this movie. We have a Cameroonian guy, Loco. His movie was played in the song too, in the movie too. Yeah, so this beautiful wedding ceremony, it was great, and all the beautiful music, the good food, and you know, as a royal wedding should be, lavish with all the people and all the bright costumes. Everything went great. And so Prince Lavelle Johnson marries Mirembe, who was a servant at the palace. So they came together in holy matrimony, and now the king was using the marriage as a statement of power, sending message to General Izzy that I'm not scared of you. You're not going to force me to marry my son to your daughter just because I wanted an alliance between I and you. I'm not scared of you, come what may. If you want to attack my palace, we shall be ready for you. So it was a beautiful union, establishing strength and love and continuity and all that good stuff. I love it. All in all, it's a beautiful movie. That was the end of the movie, the beautiful wedding ceremony and all that. And after that, John Legend sang a beautiful song about royalty and marriage and love and all that. That's the end of the movie. So if you have not watched Coming to America and you've watched this summary, this is everything that happened in the movie. It's just a story of love, a story of family and royalty, a story of the passing of a king and the making of another king, a story of a reunion of a family. A dad was not seeing his son in 30 years. He finally finds out about the son. He goes down to New York to track the son, brings the son back to Zamunda with him, teaches the son the ways of royalty, the ways of Zamunda, and the son gets used to the situation in Zamunda, and he actually gets crowned as Prince of Zamunda. He picks a beautiful lady from the palace, he marries her, and they live happily ever after. So this is all about Coming to America too. If you have not watched the movie and you've watched this summary, then you know what's up. And if you're yet to watch the movie, you can equally go to the movies, go to the theaters, you know, pay some money and watch the movie. That's also an option. Or you can buy an Amazon Prime account, you know, to watch the movie for yourself. That's also an option. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I remain your girl Onana. If it is your first time on this channel, don't go without subscribing because you are definitely going to love it here. On this channel, we talk all things entertainment, we talk about African recipes, and we do lifestyle. So please subscribe, comment below, share, and tell me what you think about today's video. It was a beautiful video all in all. I love the costumes. Oh my god, the costumes, the outfits are so lit. And I love the setting of the movie. Zamunda is a beautiful kingdom. The lions, the green, the grass, the elephants, the tigers, and everything. And it looks good. It looks nice, and I hope it doesn't reinforce the stereotype that people have that this is Africa. In Africa, we don't live with elephants, we don't live with lions, we don't live in tigers. I grew up in Africa all my life. I have never seen an elephant. I only saw a lion when I went to the zoo. We don't live with tigers in Africa. We don't live with lions in our houses. No, we grow in Africa all our life. We don't get to see these things. So it's a beautiful movie. I just hope that these settings of lions and tigers running around the palace of Zamunda doesn't reinforce the stereotype that Africans are living with tigers. We don't live with tigers and elephants in our houses. No, if that was the case, we will all be dead. There will be no African alive because, you know, lions feed on people, yeah, and other animals. So thank you guys so much for watching, and have a beautiful weekend, everyone. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate this few minutes you spent with me. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, comment, share the video if you found it interesting, and I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Goodbye.